Hello, Briterion Bollection is back.
Yeah, after quite a minute.
Yeah, what's the last one we did together? Was it Philip Morris?
Yeah, and even then, that was what, maybe at least 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It had to be at least 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, but even then, we were supposed to record within the past week and a half, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, well, we've been pretty busy, right?
Yeah, to say the least. Some project after project, and even then, we have a pending project which is currently biting us in the ass, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's for another podcast,
Yeah, or another section of it, really.
Yeah, so we wanted to finish out Pride Month a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah, after we started it really late last month, but now that we're ending July, we're really gonna try to wrap it up within the next couple of days.
Right, so we'll do a couple more LGBTQ films, themed films, and then we'll end our first season of Briterion Bollection. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You can watch us by becoming a VIP Patreon member. We would appreciate that. And thank you for the subscribers. We're at 23,000 on YouTube, so thank you. On Spotify, we're gathering some steam.
Yeah, but don't just subscribe. Actually listen.
Yeah.
Go on Spotify, go on YouTube, sign up for our Patreon, and actually watch the video. Even though it looks boring and we're just sitting on our bed.
Yeah, scenes from a marriage style.
Yeah,
So,
Kevin mentions it every single time.
yeah, every time we do it on the bed. Pun intended.
TMI, that sounded quite inappropriate, actually.
Okay.
But I'll let this one fly.
Okay. I'm just talking about the podcast. So the movie we chose to talk about today, I consciously wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's a movie that not a lot of people know about. It's still kind of obscure, even though the director has received some praise after this film for other films that he's done. Sadly, the director is no longer with us, but at least he was able to make a few masterpieces.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, I think. So the movie we're going to talk about today is the French-Canadian film,
or
Quebecoise film, directed by Jean-Marc Vallee, and that film is called C.R.A.Z.Y.
Which is an acronym, not the actual word crazy, but you could put it that way as well.
So C.R.A.Z.Y, but I just call it crazy. And so what year did this come out? 05 or 06? Do you know?
Something around there. You know what?
If you don't know, well, I saw the movie maybe like in 07 or 08.
Yeah, that was around the time I saw it as well.
Right.
And it was actually one of the first movies that Kevin and I bonded over because we actually talked about it within the first week or two after we met.
Yeah, because it was just shocking that someone else had seen this movie. I was surprised. So.
Well, they would play it a lot back on cable TV, on one of those cable TV movie channels quite a bit, and that's how I first saw it. And
yeah, that's how I first saw it too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I saw it was on IFC channel, which before, because it was the independent film channel, and it was cool back then. I don't even know if they still have it around, honestly, but it was cool at first because they just played strictly independent and foreign film, kind of like Bravo channel was back in the day.
Well, that's how I was really drawn to it too.
Yeah, but similar to Bravo channel, IFC changed too, where they started playing kind of more mainstream movies.
Yeah, and I stopped watching it after a few years. I just was no longer into it.
Yeah, exactly. That was its heyday, though, I would say in the mid 2000s. And then it kind of started dying down like 2010, 2011. So, yeah, that's where I first saw it. I think it was just, I was just flipping channels, seeing what's on, and then I saw something in French. So I was like, okay, let me see what this is about, because I was really into French films at the time. And then I realized, I was like, oh, this is a French-Canadian film. So, okay. But it was still pretty well done. So I kept watching, like, I couldn't get away from the film. Like, I didn't want to change the channel. It just kind of hooked me, and it was really cool. So I ended up watching the rest of the movie from that first time I stumbled upon it, and then eventually I saw it from beginning to end. It was on again on IFC, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm home alone. I have nothing else to do, so I'll watch this. And I really liked it. And then we met and then I randomly asked you if you had seen it. Right?
Well, here's how the subject on the movie came up. We actually went to one of our local libraries as a hangout because at the time both of us were broke and we were trying to find something either cheap or free to do. So we went to one of our nearby libraries, and they had a DVD section, and they actually had quite a good selection of any media, really, books, DVDs, you name it. And while we were looking through the shelves, they had displayed crazy. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I love this movie. But I said it so loud that other library patrons were giving me weird looks. Yeah. And I'm sure that to this day, Kevin does remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that. And that kind of introduced me to your kind of crazy ways at times.
Well,
your enthusiastic ways.
Not to reference the movie title, but yeah, I can be a weirdo.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cool that someone else actually had seen the movie and liked it, so I was just shocked by that.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that the library even had it, because even though they do have a lot of, I would say that they would carry a lot of artsy stuff. Even then, I felt that even for the time, that movie was pretty obscure though.
Yeah, it still is. I feel like people.
No, I don't really hear people talk about it.
Yeah, people don't really know about it, and like people who know about film, who are into A24 shit, I don't
quote
see them.
unquote.
Yeah, I don't
if
see
you're
them.
Watching Kevin do that, he's doing quote unquote
air quotes. Yeah. They try to talk a lot of shit, like they know all this shit about film, but there are some films that they still don't know about, and I feel like this is one of them.
Yeah.
So I think this is the Wikipedia premise. Shall I go to that?
Absolutely. Go ahead and start it.
Born on Christmas in 1960, Jack is one of 4 and later 5 brothers. Bookish Christian, rebellious Raymond, sporty, flatulent Antoine, and then Yvonne. He has a special relationship with his father, Gervais, but things began to fall apart as Zach's non-masculine ways start to show. Their unique relationship officially ends when Gervais comes home to find Zach dressed in his mother's clothes. Ever since then, he had unwittingly declared war on his father. So that's kind of the basic premise of the film. So the movie opens up and we see a fetus in the womb, and we hear a voiceover, and it says, as far back as I can remember, I've always hated Christmas. Yeah, you'll see why. Yeah. And then we see the woman that the baby is inside of, and she is pregnant, and it's Christmas time in the 50s, I believe. I think it wasn't in 1960, though. Oh, okay. Yeah. 1960. So, and then. At least that's how I remember. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. And then her water breaks, and it's beautifully shot, just the whole film in general. Yeah. And the water breaks. So it's like, I like that it's not just step by step. It's like, big, like a monumental scene happens, and then it just moves on to the next scene. It assumes that you know what's going on. Yeah. So, and then we see him through an ornament, and the baby is blue. Was born blue, and the doctors are trying to revitalize him. And his dad is smoking in the waiting room, and the other boys that they have are asleep. Yeah. So he was blue because he was low on oxygen, which we're assuming, right? Yeah. But did he have the umbilical cord wrapped around him? No, I don't think so. Is it just the fact that, or just not enough? Yeah, that could have been. Not enough blood or oxygen supply then. Yeah. Okay. Something like that. I don't think they mention him, like, specifically what was going on. Yeah, because that's the part that I didn't exactly get. But right. Yeah. So there's in the waiting room, Dad's in the waiting room smoking, and then the doctor comes out and he looks all serious. And then we cut to the dad burst open the door of the hospital room, and then he just starts to smile. And they see the baby in the mother's arms, and he seems good. He seems fine. He's alive. And one of the kids wants to see the baby, and when he's about to hand him the baby falls. And yeah, we see him fall in slow motion, and the dad is looking down like, no. And as the baby's going slowly down, he's like, oh. It's actually painful to watch. Right. Do you feel like that had any damaging effect on him long term, or it's just an event in his life.
Well, it could be either one. It could just be an event, but I do think that maybe it did shift his way of thinking.
Right.
Not you know how there's always that there it's a misconception or it's always some myth that a lot of times babies could end up with brain damage, which it could happen, but I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Right.
But I think it maybe just did shift his way of thinking as he was growing up.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So, cut to, and he's about 5 or 6, and he's in church.
Yeah, just a Catholic church, which is expected if they're Quebecoise and they have this French heritage.
Right.
Yeah.
So are all French or most French Catholic?
Most of them are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some reason I thought a lot of them were Protestant.
I think a lot of them did become Protestant over time as maybe they got foreigners do missionary work, which is what happened in a lot of Latin American countries. But as far as I know, anyone who has a Romance background, they're mostly Catholic.
It should be Catholic. So Romanians, are they Catholic? Or are they Orthodox, like Eastern Orthodox?
I think it depends, but I know a lot of them tend to be Eastern Orthodox.
Maybe that's just
because
weird because they're Slavic.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a bit of a weird Venn diagram of stuff. But anyways,
yeah, they're interesting.
Anyways, so yeah, so since they're French Canadian, they're in the Catholic Church, and
or let's just call them Quebecoise. Okay. I think they would rather be called Quebecoise.
Okay, so Quebecoise, and Zach is staring around, and he looks at the priest, and the priest tells him in French. So the whole movie is in French.
Yeah, it's in French.
Or Quebecoise, right?
Yeah.
And the priest tells him, like on the side, like, "Oh, midnight mass is too long. Go home
and open your presents."
Yeah. Go home, open your presents, and everybody's like, ah! Everybody cheers. Yeah. But then it's just a fantasy, and it snaps back into boring midnight mass.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there like really uninterested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have a Christmas Eve party at Grandma's house, and we see him with this big ass present.
Yeah, but it's a huge one.
It's huge. And he opens it up, and he gets this NHL air hockey
toy
game.
Yeah, it's you can expect what it would look like.
Right. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. I think a lot of boys would like that gift. But then he mentioned on the voiceover that he always hated Christmas because he never got what he wanted.
Yeah, and it just so happens that he was born on Christmas, so on not just are they celebrating Christmas, but in reality, it just gets merged into his birthday, and it sucks when holiday. Christmas is around your birthday, or your birthday is around Christmas.
Right.
Because then your parents find it a drag to get you another present. Luckily, that's not my case, so I don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you feel bad for people.
I do feel bad for people whose birthdays are around Christmas. Because I have heard in the past that parents are like, now I have to get them a gift a week after the birthday or a week before the birthday or whenever it falls.
Yeah, double gifts like all in a row, like back to back. Right?
Yeah, but it's not fair for them because of the other siblings whose birthdays are far away from Christmas. Yeah. And you really shower them. Why can't you do that for your other kid?
Yeah, it's not their fault that
it's not
that you conceive them, within the time frame to be around Christmas, right? Yeah. Yeah. So his dad said that he got him that because he doesn't want his son to become a fairy, quote unquote. Yeah, which we already assume what he means by fairy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So he tells that to his wife, but then his wife, the mom, tells Zach that his dad got him that hockey game so that he could play with him, and he's kind of like, okay, yeah, right, sure. And big surprise, she's pregnant again. Yeah. Yeah. And Zach asks his mom, what is a fairy anyway? And she's just like, okay, go to bed. Like, she's just ignore it. Yeah. she walks away, and one of his older brothers calls him an idiot. I'm assuming maybe his oldest brother, right? He has the most volatile
But
relationship.
who was the most jackassy? I forget his name. Was it Antoine or was it Raymond?
No, I said Raymond.
Yeah.
Raymond is the oldest, right?
Was it? Or I thought it was. Was it Christian?
No, I think isn't Christian the nerdier one?
I guess Raymond is the older jackassy.
Raymond is the oldest, and he's the most jackassy too.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
As you'll see as the story goes on.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he's hanging out outside with his dad, and a redhead girl walks over to him while him and his dad are washing the car, and she asks if he wants to play, and he just says nope, and he just keeps chewing gum that he has.
Yeah, it's just really weird.
Yeah, and then the girl like, kind of sadly walks away, and his dad's like kind of proud of him. He's like, "Yeah, good job turning her down," like of her wanting to play.
Yeah, his dad did not help the entire situation.
Yeah, and Zach at school, he brags to his friends about his dad. He brags that he has guns and he has all these Charles Aznavour records. So Charles Aznavour, he was a singer in France during that time, 50s, 60s, 70s. And he's the guy who actually stars in Shoot the Piano Player, the Truffaut film, which is Truffaut's second film after he did 400 Blows, which was a bomb at the time, actually.
Yeah, I never hear about that movie.
But over time, it got respect.
Yeah, but not in comparison to all his other movies, especially the ones from the Antoine Bonneau series.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the Antoine Bonneau series, though, it started his career, and those are some of the best of his career. Yeah. Stolen Kisses in particular. I love that film.
No, I think it's great. And you know which is my favorite scene from that movie?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Stolen Kisses.
Yeah. We will.
And I mean, you're a big 400 Blows fan.
It's one of my favorite, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So, he cruises with his dad while his dad sings in the car, and it's like kind of actually a cute moment, like that he's like happy hanging out with his dad, and it's kind of like the only time you get to see that, at least early on, for the first part of his life. His dad takes him to eat Norm's fries, which those look pretty good.
Yeah, well, you can already imagine if they're known for their poutine. So,
yeah, they're known for their potato snacks.
Yes.
The other brothers are at home, kind of just watching TV, and Zach and the dad get home, and the brothers are like, "Oh, you guys ate fries. You can smell them a mile away." And they're like, "No, we didn't eat fries." They're just like, denying it the whole time, and they just like smile at each other, like, "Hey, like we ate fries, and these guys suck," basically. And Zach on the voiceover says, "Oh, like all my brothers are morons." The farting one, which is Antoine. Right?
Yeah, well, he was mentioned as the flatulent one on the Wikipedia description.
Yeah, the Zach on the voiceover says the farting one, the egghead, and my sworn enemy, Raymond. Right? Yep. So Raymond calls him a pisser.
Well, is it or a pisseux? That what he?
Yeah, like in French, he says pisseux, like meaning like he wets the bed.
Yeah.
And then Zach tells his mom, he's like, "Mom, he called me a pussy." And he's like, "No, I didn't call you a pussy. I called you a pisser." and then Raymond, he's like, "Oh, gotta go." And he like runs off with two girls. He leaves the house with two girls. And it's like, I guess he's always been a womanizer since school days.
Yeah, well, if his dad enabled that behavior, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Because that's just how I see it.
Right.
Based on how the dad has been like so far.
Right. Yeah. But it's weird that he's kind of the only one who's really good with girls. Like the other ones are, well, I mean, I guess there's the nerdy one and the farting one, so you don't really have much to choose from.
Yeah. But he is the oldest, so he is quote unquote setting the example.
Yeah, I guess. And after 9 months of prayer, Zach hopes for another baby, for his mom to have another baby. And after 9 months, his prayer comes true, and it's another boy. And we see the dad smoking cigars with his friends, and they're like, another boy? And he's like, oh, what can I say? I have a surplus of male hormones. And they're like, well, geez, like you should change positions once in a while. I guess.
Weird. We don't want to know that. And also, the dad is just, he just,
Right?
yeah, he's just too much of a macho guy.
Yeah.
It's just toxic masculinity
Yeah,
all
no,
around.
that's the thing. Like, that's something I was going to mention later was like, yeah, like I didn't expect so much toxic masculinity to come from Quebec. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, they're still pretty Euro driven. We know that a lot of that problematic those problematic aspects they come from white supremacy.
yeah, but even I feel like France is more progressive than other countries.
Yeah, but just like Spain is also more progressive than most Latin American countries. Just look at it. I think they see it as we're the mother country and we're the oldest civilization of our kind. So we really need to progress. And I think that that's why in recent times you see a lot more acceptance and progression. Just the fact, and I noticed that when we, especially when we were in Madrid back in 2018, I did notice that there was a lot more openness.
Yeah, so from what I've seen and heard, I've heard people say this too. Like the UK is looked at like it's the US of Europe. Like it's
Yeah.
considered the most archaic country of Europe. Like all the other countries in Europe are more progressive with all their different aspects, but the UK is a little bit behind. So yeah, it's kind of considered the US of Europe. I mean, obviously the US and UK have kind of strong connection. So, but then comparing the UK to the US, it's even further apart.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like the UK looks at the US like the US is really barbaric and
I think
not very progressive.
and not just the UK. I think most countries see the US as
Yeah,
barbaric.
yeah, no, I know.
Even I see
But
the US as barbaric.
no, I know. I was just saying how that's saying something because a lot of people look at the UK like it's barbaric. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
the UK looks at the US that way, it shows you how far apart they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised by how much toxic masculinity there is in this slice of French Canadian Quebecoise.
Just because I don't know if they really like to be referred to as French Canadian. I really don't think they like it.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I know that there's been talks about like a Brexit, like a French, like
Yeah,
a
they've been trying to have it.
Quebec.
They've been trying to have that for a very long time, but it
Right.
has not happened to them. Just how Catalonia had been wanting to separate themselves from the rest of Spain.
Right.
And it has not happened for
So
them yet.
yeah, it's a long process. So once again, they're at midnight mass, and the baby is crying, um, and the mom is holding the baby, but he's crying. But then she gives the baby to Zach, and then the baby stops crying.
Yeah, because somehow Zach had that special touch.
Right. Yeah. And the mom's
And
like, ooh. Like,
well, in reality, he had a very special one with his younger brother.
right. Yeah. So obviously it's Christmas time again, and he gets a drum set this Christmas. And I mean, that at least seems like something he would like. He seems like he's into music. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit better of a gift. And his dad sings at Christmas again. That's what he
Yeah, when
does
he
every
always
Christmas.
does he always gets into his cheesy singing.
Yeah. And Zach is at home with a white hard hat on. It's just kind of funny that he has it on. And he takes off the hat and he puts on his mom's robe and her bead necklace. And he plays with the baby like he's playing mom, like he's pretending to be his mom and playing with the baby. And then his dad comes back home randomly. He wasn't expecting him to come back home because I guess he forgot his wallet because he went to work, but he forgot his wallet. Uh, and then he comes back, and his dad sees Zach dressed up like his mom, and then he just looks at him all pissed off.
Whoops.
And so from that point on, like their relationship just
it's somehow strained it.
Yeah, I think once again that toxic masculinity, his dad not wanting any gay aspect or anything like that to his sons, that really upset him.
Yeah, or Basically, if it wasn't anything that was representative of alpha masculinity, just he didn't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we see him in the car again, like when he would cruise earlier with his dad. We saw him earlier in the movie. He's kind of playing out the window, which he shouldn't be doing anyway, but he's playing. He's in the passenger seat, like doing the like playing outside the window. And his dad earlier was looking over at him like all happy, but then this time he's playing outside the window, and his dad yells at him, and he's like, "Put on your seatbelt, sit down." Like now he looks at him like all pissed off. Yeah, I think based on that scene of him catching him.
Yeah, now he's just seeing him under a very negative light.
Yeah, and then we cut to the dad choose the kids out for breaking his record, breaking his Patsy Cline record that he has, and he tells them that they have to pay for it if they don't admit who did it. But Zach says it was an accident. He admits to it, and then we see a shot of the dad looking at him with the picture of Jesus behind him, and it's a nice little shot. I mean, because that was something his mom mentions in the movie. She's like, "Oh, like you're just like Jesus. You're both born on Christmas." Yeah. So his dad asks his wife, "What happened to Zach? He dresses like a girl now. He can hear him in his room, and he's praying not to be soft." And we see the cross on the wall, and so yeah, there is this like religious overtone kind of to things, like that guilt that he feels because he feels different, but like there's this Catholic guilt that he has over him. And there's a dream sequence where he's praying in the church confessional, and his oldest brother Raymond is the priest. It's like
he should not be a priest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a nightmare, and he wets the bed, and his mom has to help him, and she cleans him off, and he asks,
"When will I stop wetting the bed?"
And she says that you're special like Jesus because you're born on the same day.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with him trying to stop wetting the bed?
Yeah.
I'm just asking. She did not answer his question, or at least attempted to calm him down and reassure him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But that was part of her ignorance. So they go to this lady's house who's kind of like a medium, and she analyzes him, and she says that he's special because he's the seventh child, and he's like the kind of a seventh child.
Yeah, well, she did have 2 miscarriages. But that's the thing, it wasn't just the seventh child, it was the fact that he was also the seventh boy. But then I remember the dad said something, wait, are you sure that those 2 miscarriages that you had were going to be boys?
Right.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, yeah, that's all you know how to do. Like that's all you know how to shoot out." Yeah.
Shoot out. Wow. Thank you.
So, but the dad is all skeptical because she comes back, and she's telling him, "Oh, like he's special." He's like, "Special? Like, what do you mean special?" So the dad doesn't think he's special. He's very skeptical of what that lady says. So Zach gives his dad something in a brown paper bag and walks away, and his dad opens it, and it's the Patsy Cline record that he broke. Even though I don't think he actually broke it, because we don't actually see it. I think he just took the blame.
No, he really took the blame for it. You can tell he didn't do it, but he really took the blame. Just because he thought, if I don't take the blame, no one else will admit to it, and my dad is just going to continue getting really pissed off about it.
Right, exactly. So, but even then, he opens it, and the dad says, "Oh, it's in stereo, so it's gonna sound different." He basically complains about it, and so the mom was like, "Okay, well, we'll return."
Yeah, you can never make anything better with that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, cut to mom is making breakfast, and I like how she uses the iron to make the toast. Like
That's very college like, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what got me thinking, wait, you couldn't get a toaster, at least put it in the oven for a few minutes? Yeah. Because if you have no other way to toast it, you can actually put it in the oven for a bit.
Right, yeah.
But to me, just using an iron is very college like. If you've ever seen college kids will warm up their food with an iron. Right. Well, at least that's a big stereotype. But I think a lot of times that's true.
Yeah. Well, I guess she was used to it, and she likes he could press down on it.
Okay.
And she was trying to do a panini-ish type of thing. So Zach, he has the power to heal. That's his gift, supposedly, but he can't use it for personal gain. So the mom gets a call saying that the uncle cut himself and he's bleeding. So Zach hears this and he helps him. Like he thinks about him, and then they get another call and they say that the uncle stopped bleeding, and so they're like, "Ooh."
Yeah. So they're actually amazed by this.
Right. And when the phone rings again, and the dad's kind of like, "Don't answer it." Just leave it. So then Zach has to go to summer camp, and they're sleeping in the barracks, and he's freaking out that he might wet the bed. So he prays, and it's a stormy night, so it's like kind of making him want to pee. And his mom can sense something. She has this.
Yeah, she has this gut feeling. I guess a maternal instinct.
Yeah, she can. She wakes up in the middle of the night and she goes to the bathroom and kind of blows away his pee. Like I guess he did pee, but her blowing in the bathroom dried it out for him, so it just didn't smell.
Yeah, it would still smell even when it dries. So just
Right.
but I know it's suspension of disbelief because it's a movie.
Yeah.
But me being the realist, quote unquote,
Yeah.
I would think it would still smell. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you because we have 3 cats and their pee reeks really bad.
Even when it's dry.
Of course. And they are adorable, but their pee smells really bad.
Yeah. Well, is that what she was trying to do? Was she trying to? Because it was a bit confusing. Because she was like in the bathroom, but I wasn't sure if she was trying to.
I thought that that's what she was trying to do.
Right.
I think she was trying to vent it out.
Right. Yeah. And then he was like blowing too, because
Yeah.
he was on the bed. And he's like, so I guess that's what they were trying to do. And then the other boys pick on him, and they dunk his head underwater, and he loses his cross that he had.
Yeah, because they dunked his head underwater. Was it in the lake or where was it?
Yeah, I think it was in
Yeah,
the lake.
yeah, that's what I thought I remember.
Yeah, and then while his head is underwater, we see his face morph into an older version of him as a
Yeah, it
teenager.
just fast forward.
Yeah, which actually I thought was a cool technique.
Yeah, I liked it
Because
too.
it's pretty seamless, and I guess the water, like you don't really need CGI. You can just do it dissolve, and it kind of works. It was a pretty cool transition. And you see him as a teenager, and he wakes up in his bed, and then we hear this classic riff, which is the "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" Pink Floyd riff. So I remember watching this, and I was like, "Whoa, wait, like what? Like they can use this riff? How come I've never seen any other movies use Pink Floyd? I never heard Pink Floyd in any other movies except for Pink Floyd The Wall movie."
They were just able to get the rights somehow.
Right, yeah, so that's the thing. This movie has a really good soundtrack and a lot of cool imagery from all these bands from that era, 60s, 70s, and that's part of what hooked me into it because I was really into music, and I was really into Pink Floyd a lot. In high school, I got really into Pink Floyd. My senior year, they became my favorite band, basically, because I just started digging into classic rock a lot of that time. And you go from band to band that you're really into, and that time I was really into Pink Floyd, so I got totally into them, and I loved the "Wish You Were Here" album, which has that "Shine On Crazy Diamond" riff. So it was just cool watching this, and just out of the blue you hear. I was like, oh shit.
No, it's definitely a big surprise.
Yeah. So I was like, that was tight. And then we see him. He wakes up, and then he has to use this inhaler. So we're like, okay, he has to use that. And then we see this Dark Side of the Moon poster behind him, with the prism and the rainbow, shooting through it. And he looks all cool now. He's not the awkward little kid anymore. He looks like a cool teenager, and he has the Bowie poster on his wall too. And we see him using these nunchucks, so he must be influenced by like Bruce Lee. Well, it was that era. So yeah, so I mean, he really soaked up everything. Yeah, for sure. He soaked up the rock, Bruce Lee influence. Yeah, when I started, I thought it was already a good movie, but when I started seeing that, I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool.
But then, okay, so what happens next is?
Yeah, so his dad walks in and
to his room.
Yeah, he just turns down the music. He's just like, and he walks out, but then Zach puts on a Sympathy for the Devil record,
the Rolling
Rolling
Stones,
Stones, right? And but it's like, how did this French indie Canadian movie afford all these songs?
Quebecoise.
Yeah, well, how did this Quebecoise movie afford all these songs?
I think I think it just probably hit different for a lot of these artists. And if they didn't approach them directly, they probably approached the label, and the label was able to give them the rights.
They gave them permission, maybe because they saw a rough cut of the movie and they're like, "Oh shit, this looks pretty good."
Yeah, it's definitely different than most other content that you see out there.
Right.
So they were probably impressed by it. That's my assumption.
Right. Yeah. So we see him in Midnight Mass again, and he basically imagines that everybody is singing "Sympathy for the Devil." The whole choir is kind of like, woo-hoo, woo-hoo.
Imagine going to church and everyone starts doing that.
Yeah, that would be very surreal. Yeah. And then he sees that redhead girlfriend that he has there, and she's singing kind of to the song too, and then he starts to float in the church while everybody goes woo, woo. So it's a nice little surreal moment, and the priest is like woo, woo, to the old priest guy, and he comes home and girls kiss him, the family is happy to see him, except for his dad. His dad's still pissed off at him. He just looks at him like all pissed off. So it says that this is,
I guess he's the biggest grudge holder.
yeah, yeah. So, well, like he said from then on he was his enemy. Well, I mean, I guess him and Raymond. So it says it's Christmas 1975, and his gift this year, he gets a banjo. So that's kind of cool. So another music
Another instrument.
And he gives his dad a record, and his dad opens it, and it's the broken record from when they were kids. He's kind of like, okay, is this a joke? And then his oldest brother Raymond comes in with this hippie chick.
The flatulent one.
No, Raymond, his oldest brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I see what you're.
He comes in with this hippie chick because it's like he's.
Oh yeah, he's the girl magnet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, this guy always has a different chick, and they're at the dinner table, and he says, like on the voiceover, he says, "Oh, he comes in, he stays an hour just to eat, and he leaves." Basically, like he that's all he does. He doesn't give a shit about anyone, the family. He just comes to eat and leaves. And he gives his mom a book about Jerusalem for Christmas, and she's like, "Oh, thank you." And these other people come in, and I want to watch these. I want to eat these sandwiches that they got. Those look pretty good. And so we see these two blonde chicks with red dresses come in, and Zach is checking them out. One of them is his cousin, Brigitte.
Okay.
And he sees her make out with her boyfriend, and they dance during the whole party. And the dad says he can dance too, but then he starts doing karaoke.
Yeah, and honestly, this part when he starts doing karaoke, it's very cringe-worthy. Very cringe-worthy.
Yeah, so
and you can just sense it, not just the viewer, but the rest of the characters in the movie.
Yeah, they're like, great, we have to deal with his singing. So Brigitte introduces her boyfriend to Zach, and she mentions, oh, like he has a driver's license. And then that guy just jacks a cigarette from Zach.
Wow, what a way to ask for.
And they hang out in his car and they listen to that. They play that a few times.
Yeah.
And they do like that shotgun shit. Like he's like smokes and he like exchanges the smoke with into his mouth. Yeah. Yeah, and it was like, yeah, I mean, it's like kind of gay, but I guess some straight guys do it. Yeah, it's not because it's gay, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but just more than anything, I think it's unhygienic because you just don't know if people, you just don't know their health history. You just don't know how their hygiene is like. Right. Just, I personally would not do it. Yeah. And then we cut to he's hanging out at home with his redhead girlfriend, and they're listening to Dark Side of the Moon, Great Gig in the Sky. It's a cool song. Mm-hmm. And he tells her, like, she's trying to make out with him, but he kind of pushes her off and he tells her, "I like my cousin," which is weird. I think I mentioned before how for some reason in a lot of French related movies there's like some incest sort of thing.
Not just French. I think some European ones in general.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I don't know where that comes from.
I wouldn't just tie that to anything French related. I think
It's weird. I don't know where that comes from. So yeah, the redhead girl wants to get it on with him, but he doesn't want to, and he tells her to stop. So she just leaves all pissed off. Basically, she runs out, and his dad is in the car and can see her walk out, and he's like, "Don't tell me he groped her." He smiles to himself, like he's like he can see that she's pissed off, so he's assuming that that might be why. Like he might have groped her, and that's why she's pissed off. Like,
maybe.
I mean, I think the dad is trying to have wishful thinking, quote unquote. Like,
Well, the dad shouldn't just
right.
think that.
Yeah. So then Zach puts on Bowie, Major Tom. Yeah. Puts that record on. And we see him thinking about his cousin. We see her dancing, but then it's like, or is he thinking about her boyfriend? Because we see them both, and he kind of has glimpses of him as well. And he smokes on his bed, and it's a cool little montage. He starts singing Major Tom, and he has the Aladdin sane face paint lightning bolt across his face.
Yes. He was really getting into character there.
Right. And he's rocking the Rolling Stone shirt, the tongue, and his sporty brother walks in and pushes him over and he tells him, "Stop imitating that fairy." That's what he tells him. I guess it's about Bowie. Mm-hmm. Right. And then he sees people outside the window kind of fake cheering for him. Like this group of boys are outside. I guess they saw him doing this performance, this Bowie performance, and they're like, "Ooh," like kind of fake cheering for him. He's like, "F you." And then his little brother walks in, who has kind of long hair, right? Yeah, and he's kind of chunky. Yeah, and he's just eating chips, and he just kicks him out of the room. He's like, "Get out of here." That's me. Yeah, but I guess now that he was the youngest before, but now that he's the oldest, he kind of somewhat pushes him around a little bit. So we cut to he's at school and he's hanging out with his friends at school, and then his oldest brother comes and picks him up on his motorcycle, and they're like, "Whoa, it's so badass, it's badass." Yeah, because he has a motorcycle and tattoos. And I think actually in that moment, Zach felt kind of cool. Like, "Oh, my brother's cool. You know, he has a motorcycle." Yeah, that doesn't necessarily make them. No, but I mean, I think. Yeah, well, I'm saying it for them. Yeah. So they're at home, and his dad is watching something. Raymond just changes the channel just like that, and his dad gets pissed. And yeah, well, in that sense, I actually don't blame the dad for getting pissed off because you don't just go and randomly change the channel with it, especially without even asking whoever is watching it. Yeah, that is just completely rude. Yeah. So the dad tells him, "Hey, change it back," but he won't. And I guess it's just the principle of it, because the dad could get up and change it, but yeah, like, no, but yeah, but Raymond should have also assumed his responsibility there. Well, there you go, Raymond. And that was disrespectful. Yeah. So his dad keeps yelling at him to change it, so he just gets up and walks away. He just gets fed up. He'd rather walk away than just change it back. Because it's like you can see that they don't want to back down. It's that toxic masculinity. Yeah, exactly. But that's also Gervais, who is the dad, should also accept his mistake because he raised him that way too. Yeah. And you can tell then in a way it is his fault. That's why Paimon is the way he is. Right, exactly. So then the sporty brother comes home from hockey practice or a game because he has all this gear on and he's pissed off because he got hurt. And then the egghead brother is making fun of him. Then he calls him a fairy, and he calls him a fairy. And when the dad walks in, and he's like, "Why are you always calling each other homos?" That's what he says. Well, once again, who did they learn that from? Right. Yeah. So why are you still asking yourself that question? Because it's obvious who they got it from. Right, yeah, exactly. So the next day, the oldest brother Raymond is about to leave on his motorcycle, and Zach he sees them through the window. Zach is inside the house, and he sees them in the driveway, kind of making up. Like, he can't hear anything. We don't hear anything, but he sees
But
them.
you can see they're hugging.
Their body language, and then he drives off. And so Zach is like, okay, well, I guess they were able to man things somewhat. So Zach, because he saw his oldest brother leave, so Zach sneaks into his oldest brother's room and he steals some weed that was like in his drawer.
Yeah.
And then just to be a dick, he spits in his bed. I guess just to get back.
Sweater jackets.
You mean Zach?
Well, more hang on for having the weed in his drawer.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah. So Zach gets a little petty revenge, I guess you could say, by spitting in his bed. I feel like he deserves more than getting his bed spat on. Yeah, for sure. So then we see Zach on the bike, and it's a nice shot of him on the bike. Like, they put the camera onto the bike, so it's like facing up at him. I usually like that kind of perspective. Yeah, and he sees his cousin at the Dairy Queen, Brigitte. Speaking of Dairy Queen, love Dairy Queen, right? Well, especially in Mexico. If you ever go to Dairy Queen in Mexico, they actually have very good flavors, especially some of the seasonal ones. I remember one time you could get a churro blizzard, or they even had, what was the other one? Like canelitas. Oh yeah, if you've ever seen, there is, who makes the canelitas? Is it Gamesa? I think so. Yeah. In the US, they recently changed those cooking to cinas. I don't know why they're called cinas. I guess because of cinnamon. Yeah. But I don't get if it was a legal thing, because in Mexico they're called canelitas and they have this kind of waffle look to them, but they're cinnamon sugar dusted. They're really good, actually. Yeah. But at Dairy Queen in Mexico, one of their seasonal flavors was that you got a canelitas blizzard, and yeah, so they mix it into the ice cream. Very good. I just plugged this up. Even though lately I've been more of a simple kind of person, and a lot of times I just like to get their jelly bars. Yeah. Yeah. I know you like having that. Yeah. I'm usually a blizzard guy. I love the blizzards. Small blizzard. Even though I could probably eat a huge ass blizzard, I'll still eat a small one. Shout out to Warren Buffett for being a champion of Dairy Queen. Yeah, being a champion of that, but not that iced tea that they try to shove into our throats that those people were selling at Kobe's swap meet. That was just odd. Yeah. I don't know if you remember that, even though that was some person. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But yeah, Dairy Queen. I do really like Dairy Queen. Yeah, so it's cool seeing like the old school Dairy Queen slang, in Montreal. Mm-hmm. And so he's happy to see his cousin Brigitte, but then he sees her there with her new boyfriend. He's like, "Hey, nice to see you," and she's like, "Oh, it's my new boyfriend," and he just finds it awkward. Like, he was hoping to see that other guy, so they're just kind of standing around, and so he's like, "Okay, well, I'll see you later." So he just leaves, and while he's riding his bike, he has that quick. Oh, here's Tom. Yeah, so you'll see him getting yeah. Okay, stealing the show for a little bit. He likes to do that. So he's on his bike and he has a quick fantasy of the old boyfriend, of them like exchanging smoke in their mouths, a centimeter away from each other. And then while he's having that fantasy, he gets hit on his bike. He gets crushed into by a car. And there's a nice slow-mo shot of him freaking out, like as he's flying off the bike. And then we cut to he's on a hospital bed and he's reminded back to when he was born, and he was born blue, and he was declared legally dead for 3 seconds. Well, that's a miracle that he was able to revive. Right, exactly. So it like ties back to that beginning. So then we see him recuperating at home, and he has a thing around his neck, a brace. Yeah, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's a necklace. Right, and his mom is taking care of him, and he's tries going into Raymond's room to jack some nudie magazines that he has, but then he hears him, and he has the neck brace on still while he's doing this. But he's like looking for nudie magazines, and then he hears the motorcycle parked in the driveway, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So then Zach hides in the closet, in his brother's closet, and then his brother comes in with some chick. And they're like in a rush to bone. Like they start ripping each other's clothes off. Okay, maybe you should specify what that means, because if anyone is listening and if you're still trying to
become an expert in English, you might have to catch up on the slang.
Yeah, so they're in a rush to have sexual relations, right?
Yes, that's a way better description.
Yeah. Yeah, he starts ripping his clothes off. She starts ripping her clothes off, and Zach is in the closet like, okay, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, that's that. I would feel very uncomfortable being there.
Yeah. So he finds it awkward, but then he kind of, I guess he gets into it. He starts hiding out there watching him bang, which is pretty weird.
Yeah.
Because we see this montage of him bringing all these different girls there. He brings in so many different girls into his room, and his brother Zach sees the whole thing. And he's like, I guess they do it, and then they buy weed off him.
Yeah, so they'll, let's say that they'll be intimate with each other, but then
yeah. So it's like, this guy's like living the dream, I guess, right? He's hooking up and he's making money.
Yes, but will that even work in the long run? I'm
Probably not.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what. I mean, what kind of job can this guy get, basically? Yeah. So we see him, and he even sees him get into a fight with some chick during that. One day, his brother opens the closet and he sees him, and then we just hear, yeah, just a loud ass punch, and it fades to black.
Yeah, and it's not the first time we mentioned a movie with that kind of big punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the other one?
El Mariachi.
Oh yeah, yeah. So if you haven't heard of El Mariachi
episode,
yeah, listen to that.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
And for a movie that Kevin avoided for a long time.
Yeah, for a movie I didn't even see for a long time, but I really love it. Anyways, so Zach tells all his friends at school about his brother's exploits with all these chicks, and we cut to him polishing his dad's car, and he sees that redhead girl walk by, so he waves at her, but she just blows him off. She just walks by, and he's like, "Okay, great. I guess she's not happy with me yet." So randomly, the dad throws him the car keys. He's like, he just throws it at him, and he catches it, and he's like, "Oh, can you go to the store?" And he's like, "Okay." And so we cut to him teaching him how to drive the car, and it reminds me of my dad teaching me how to drive when I was 16, and that was a interesting story, right? You've heard me tell you me learning how to drive. Well,
of course, of course, I've heard that story
right.
quite a bit.
Yeah, and I thought, I was like, oh, this seems easy. He would pick me up from school, and we would do a practice driving for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then drive back home. And I'm like, yeah. And then there was one morning he picked me up on a Saturday, and he's like, okay, drive. And so I started driving, and I was like, yeah, I'm the man. I was like thinking I already got this down.
Yeah, until something happened.
So then my dad was like, okay, turn into this lot right here. And I was like, all right. So I was like, shoo, I did this like sharp ass turn into this lot. But what I didn't realize is that I entered the drive through of a KFC Taco Bell, like the back end of the drive through. So I entered.
Yeah, so you entered on the wrong side.
And my dad looked at me like, what? Like, what the hell are you doing? Luckily, no one was in line. Luckily, I was able to drive through that whole thing and no one was in the way. But I could just imagine the KFC workers inside being like, what the fuck was that?
It was probably still really early.
Yeah, but there were some workers because I remember.
Well, they were probably still opening.
Yeah, I remember seeing them like in the window when we were driving by.
Yeah.
But yeah, this reminds me kind of that. And so the mom is snooping around Raymond's room, and it's like he has a Confederate flag. Yeah,
which I found completely inappropriate, and especially for a Quebecoise guy.
Yeah, but I guess it just shows you what an asshole he is, right?
Well, I guess that's the ultimate thing that would show that.
Right, yeah.
Which,
if you needed more proof that he was an asshole.
Which is actually horrifying, especially for today's standards.
Yeah, but it's weird because he has that, but he also has a Harold and Maude poster.
Okay, if you're gonna have a Harold and Maude poster, you should not have the Confederate flag up in your room.
Unless he was just that big of a Leonard Skinner fan that he really needed to rep the Confederate flag because he saw them do it.
No, that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah, and he has the bead hallway curtain, which I mentioned before, which is a real 70s thing.
Yeah, just that's not my thing, but
Yeah.
I guess some people like it.
Yeah, it was big at the time. And so his mom was snooping around, and she finds this big ass bag of joints.
But it was huge, and
Yeah.
she was just like,
She's like, "What the hell?" Like, I mean, I guess that's what he sells, though, right? He has
yeah,
them all like pre-made.
yeah. Well, he has to have them ready for when his customers
Right.
ask for it.
Yeah, yeah, he can make mad money off that bag. That's worth thousands at least. So then we see Raymond moving out, but and then like his friends are helping him put crap in the car, but he has like a hearse or something, but it's white. It's painted white, so it's kind of like Harold and Maude, because in Harold and Maude, Harold bought a hearse and he renovated it, and
Yeah, you can tell it's trying to reference it.
yeah, so it's like
On top of the fact that he has it.
right, exactly. I guess they're trying to hammer that Harold and Maude reference home.
Yeah.
And
it's not the first. Well, it's not the only movie that has a Harold and Maude poster, which we'll
right,
talk about.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll actually talk about it soon. You'll see which one it is.
Okay.
If you
we
keep,
won't reveal that yet. This
no,
is
we.
just a hint.
It's a hint.
Okay.
Yeah. So watch out for that within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because we will talk about it for our summer edition.
Yeah. Summer movies coming soon. Briterion. So yeah, and so while he's moving out, Raymond's all pissed off. He looks at Zach all pissed off because he thinks he ratted him out for all his joints.
When it was in reality, the mom just decided to storm into his room, and she just started searching.
Yeah, the mom found it herself. But I mean, even then, even if the mom admitted that, he probably would still think it was that, and she's covering it
yeah,
or something, right? So all the boys want his room now. They're like, "I get his room, I get his room," and Dad's like, "No, none of you are taking none of." And he's like, "Especially not you, Zach." Like he points him out. Like
he just becomes the scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly. And then we hear that again, and Zach is at the park, and he is making out with that redheaded girl. So I guess they're together again.
And
back on.
so they made him.
Yeah, and she's pretty aggressive. Like she throws him on the ground, and she just starts hardcore making out with him. And he looks over, and he sees this weird bald kid looking at them while they make out. He's just like watching them. And they showed this kid earlier because he's like he goes to school with him. So they showed like him briefly earlier, and he keeps looking over at him, and the redhead girl's like, "Why do you keep looking at that guy?" And he's like, "I don't know. It's weird that he's looking at us." And she's like, "Just fuck him, ignore him." Yeah. And then he's just like, "Ah, this is weird. I don't like this guy looking at me." And she's like, "Damn it."
Well, if I were to have such an intimate moment, I would not want anybody looking at me, much less stare at me.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's freaking him out. So he gets up. Zach gets up and just starts running after him, and so that kid runs away. And so he basically chases him out. And so they're eating together at the table and at home, and they get a call, and the mom answers, and she's like, "Zach, think of your cousin because he burned himself." And then, but now Zach is like, "Well, that's too bad."
Yeah, he doesn't care at this
point. Yeah, exactly. He changed. Like the teen angst has set in for him, and it's hormones that fuck kids up, really. I mean, it's like during that time when they're teenagers, they're rebellious to just everything. It takes some years to get out of that.
Yeah, but I think partly it also has to do with the fact that he feels that his family doesn't really care about him, and in a way they're just using him for his quote unquote powers.
Right.
So maybe he's thinking, you know what, not to be selfish, but I'm going to show them that they can't just use me that way.
Right. No, it's true.
So now that he's older, he's more aware of it. That's my speculation.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be it too. So then he goes to that lady's house who told him when he was young that he had that gift. And he remembers seeing these footprints in the sand. And I remember seeing that when I was a kid. Like, did you ever see that? Like that, there was like a poster, like a little thing, like a little ornament that had these like footsteps in the sand walking. Did you ever see that? The thing that they show in the movie? I
don't know if I was really aware of it, but I should go back and rewatch it to see it.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it as a kid, and I was like, "What is this footsteps in the sand thing?" But then it took me a while to get it, and then I was like, "Oh, I see." So she explains that footsteps in the sand thing. I mean, you've probably seen it. So many people out there where you see these footsteps in the sand, and there's two pairs of feet.
Yeah.
And then eventually it becomes one. And there's writing there where it says this guy is talking to God, and he's like, oh, like, he's like, so I, I see there's two sets of footprints here, but then, why do they become one?
One.
And then I guess God tells him, well, because when it became one, like, because the guy was like, why did you leave me? Like,
Yeah.
you were walking with me, and then why did you leave me? And then God says, oh, I didn't leave you, I carried you. Like, meaning, so, like, yeah, God picked him up and, helped him basically the rest of the way. And so she explains that to him, and he smiles. He's kind of like, okay. And he tells her, I want to be like everyone else. And she says, too bad you never will. That's what she tells him. And he just gets pissed off and walks out. So, I mean, I didn't think that she meant it as a diss. I think she meant it like he's special. Like, he won't be like anybody, like everybody else. He's just different.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. But I guess he looked at it like he took offense to that.
Yeah, well, he really did misinterpret what she told him.
Right.
Yeah, when he.
But did you feel that way too? Like.
Well, the thing is that he took it the wrong way, but I feel that she should have rephrased it in a way that he would have understood it more and not taken
Like,
it as an offense. Yeah, she was pretty vague about it.
Yeah, well, at least that's how I took it. But maybe that's the whole thing, because to me, I've always prided like outsiders, and like I've always liked being different. At least maybe after a certain point, I like being different from other people.
Yeah, same here. As I got older, I don't mind being different from other people. But when I was younger, especially because when I was in school, I was really bullied. And I just hated it, and I just didn't want to be different. I just thought, why can't I just be accepted like everybody else?
Right.
So I didn't like that. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wait, I don't have to be like everybody else. And I actually don't want to be like.
Right.
Like, I just thought, yeah, so if I could tell my younger self, just be strong, and who cares about what these other idiots tell you or when they torment you, just know that it's okay to be different.
Exactly. So I think that's what he should have got in that scene, but he took it the wrong way.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, so then we cut to him beating this kid's ass, that bald kid who was staring at them when they were making out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think that kid was supposed to be gay, was the thing, and he was checking him out. I guess, I don't know, he liked seeing him make out with her. But so he's beating that kid's ass, and that redhead girl's cheering him on. She's like, yeah, yeah. And he's just like, but he's like really beating the shit out of him, like.
Was that even necessary though?
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad.
No, I agree. It was really bad.
Yeah. So, and they had to pull him off and pull him back to stop him from killing him, basically. And so it reminds me of that scene in Fight Club that I wanted to destroy, Something Beautiful scene with Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Where he's beating the shit out of Jared Leto.
I don't get the whole thing with Jared Leto and some of the scenes that he does.
Yeah, exactly. But it reminds me a lot of that scene. Here's Tom again.
Yeah, he just exposed his bumhole.
Yeah.
Again.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Tom.
Well, it's
interesting. It's a cat thing. What can I say? So then his dad picks him up from school, and his dad is kiosk. But it's like now he's mad after he's been encouraging him to be more manly this whole time. And but he's pissed, and he tells him, like, you have to control yourself, or you can't just do stupid shit. Basically, what he's saying. Yeah,
but you're the one who ripped off your toxic masculinity onto him. So once again, you're to blame.
Yeah, and
Je.
Yeah, exactly. And
which I actually find that weird that that would be his name.
Why is that?
I don't know.
He doesn't look like one.
Yeah, that too. But
I could see him being like Jean Paul or something.
Yeah, like that. You would think they would have named him that instead of Je.
Right. Yeah, but I guess maybe that's the irony of. Maybe he started off really soft, but then his dad was the same way. Like, oh, I don't want you to be gay, so you need to toughen up, and that's how he became who he is today. I don't know. I'm just making this backstory, but
just let your kids be themselves, please.
Right. So at that point, Zach randomly tells the dad, like, "Oh, I'm not going to the Christmas party." And then we cut to dad talking to the mom, and he's like, secretly happy that he kicked that guy's ass. He's like, oh, he killed him, like, and now that he sees him as tough now, and he says to her like, oh, he's doing better now, isn't he? Like all he needed was a girlfriend. That's what he says, and the mom was like, okay. But yeah, like we are saying, it really is toxic masculinity that you see, and I think the director just really wanted to shine a light on that. Even in the French-speaking world, there is toxic masculinity. You wouldn't think it, I guess, because you see a lot of, French fashion and French filmmakers and stuff, and it just seems very like metropolitan and very liberal, but that's not necessarily the case all around.
No, of course not.
So I think he really wanted to show that. So the dad walks out and he sees that bald kid come out of the car with Zach. Like he walks out of the house and he sees that they were in the car together, and he's kind of like, "Whoa, what the hell?" And then Zach gets out and he's like zipping up his pants, and he waves bye to that kid. Ooh. Yeah, and we cut to the dad chewing his ass up. He's like, I don't want to see that kid around. And he's like, you did something wrong. And he's like, I didn't do anything. And yeah, they get into an argument. And then the mom and dad are alone. And the dad is like, we never beat him. Like, how did he end up this way? And she says, it can happen to anyone. And she mentions, she talked to Father Carbone about it. And the dad's like, what? Now the whole town will know. So basically, yeah, like this rumor will spread gossip, right? Mm-hmm. Cheese man, right?
Of course. But especially in that community, it is pretty expected.
Right. And then the dad says, he randomly says, sometimes I wonder why we pray to a long-haired guy who hangs out with other guys in robes. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. And he tells him abnormal people need to be treated. He wants to take him to some therapy, like anti-gay therapy.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah. So they call it gay conversion therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which I still can't believe that kind of crap exists in 2025. And there are people who do believe that they got rid of their gayness. I'm like, no, that's a part of you. Let that be. Don't try to change that about yourself, please.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing. Once you're gay, you're gay, or at least a lot of times, or most of the time, it happens that you do discover that you are gay, or maybe a lot of times you think you are, and you later discover on your own that maybe you aren't. But you don't just go to conversion therapy and try to get rid of it. That is just the worst thing that people can be submitted into.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and the dad tells the mom that a guy shouldn't be sticking his pecker up another guy's ass. And she's like, oh, remember when we tried that? And the dad's like, oh, we only tried it once or twice. I don't really remember. And she's like, well, I do. Like,
I don't necessarily want to hear him talk about that.
Right. Yeah. But I guess she was trying to say that it was more of an impact for her than him. So they go to the bedroom, and Zach shows up in these tidy whities that he has because he kind of heard the whole thing that they were saying, and he's like, "I'm not going to therapy." His dad takes him in the car the next day, and they're listening to that Patsy Cline song "Crazy," which is what the movie's named after. Zach just pulls the 8-track out. So, I mean, this is even before tapes, before cassettes.
Yeah. 8-track. Who even still has 8 tracks?
I don't think anybody has that. I mean, if anybody has that, they're just like these nerdy audiophile people who want like every random ass format that ever existed.
Yeah, because last time I saw one of those was so long.
I mean, sometimes I see them sold just for fun at like swap meets and stuff like that. But I don't know who the hell buys them. Maybe if anybody buys them, they're just like as a collectible. I mean, you can't play it anywhere.
No, because I wonder if anyone still even has any players for that.
I don't know. They're probably really hard to find.
Yeah.
At this point. So yeah, he pulls that 8-track out, and we cut to Zach in the psychiatrist's office. And he said he didn't do anything wrong. He said he says he's not a queer. And it's funny because the dad's face, it kind of reminds me of Stallone. Like when he was young, he just has this weird face. And But I think that's partly why they tried to cast him, because he kind of looks like Stallone. They wanted someone who's like very masculine looking.
Yeah, tough
Who's
looking.
like the epitome of masculinity. And so they're like, okay, this guy looks like Stallone. Let's cast him.
Okay.
It's because they couldn't cast the real Stallone. Sure.
Well, I'm sure that he would have. Well, first off, he doesn't speak their language.
Yeah, exactly.
And second, he probably is too big of a star and he would cost a lot of money to
Right.
cast him. So,
But I guess this gets the next question. So after the therapy session, they drive to Raymond's apartment and they bring him some cranberry sauce or something in red in a bowl. And so he's living with his girlfriend, the girl that he's had.
yeah.
And he comes out wearing this Rolling Stone shirt too. And Zach doesn't want to see his ass. He's like, fuck this guy. And he asks his dad for some money. He's like, hey, you got any money that I can borrow? And he's just like, well, here you go. So he gives him some money. And Zach goes to the record store. It's Christmas time. And yeah, and he sees that guy who was with his cousin in the beginning, his cousin Brigitte, the guy he did that smoke session with. Mm-hmm. He sees him and he kind of freaks out because he feels like an attraction for him. And he's like, and he doesn't want that. He's trying to say that he's not gay. And so he just walks out of the record store and he goes to a payphone and there's a baby crying with the mom and he like has to like breathe away his feelings. He has to like take deep breaths.
Well, he is taking deep breaths.
Yeah, so that's what he does. Then he goes to his room afterwards and he's like jacking it.
Like?
Yeah, he's jerking off.
Okay, we have to be literal here.
Right.
Well.
Yeah. I mean, well, you don't, I mean, you assume that he's jacking.
Well, yeah, but it's very likely that he is.
Right. And his head lowers out of the frame and behind him is this David Bowie picture and it dissolves into the cover art of Time magazine when John Lennon had died. So it shows like a passage of time. It's like probably a few years later. And his head pops back up and it's all spiky. He's all punked out, basically. So now he's on to his new phase, his new punk phase. And it seems like he's getting oral sex in that shot. You can't really tell for sure, but then we see this short red hair pop up and it's that redheaded girlfriend that he has. I almost feel like that's partly why he likes her, because she does have short hair, so it's like kind of reminds him of being with a guy, I guess. Like I'm assuming that's.
I wouldn't just make that assumption though. I think he's just attracted to her.
Right.
But I think deep inside, he's still trying to find himself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we cut to his 20th birthday. It's Christmas time again, obviously, and his dad is singing again.
I'm so good.
Yeah. But now his dad looks older. You finally see him, like he has more gray hair, and his brothers look older too. They don't look like the same stupid teenagers that they did before. But everyone looks a bit older. And his mom is talking to his girlfriend, and his mom says, "Oh, I haven't seen him with an inhaler for a while." And his girlfriend says, "Oh, he got rid of it." I think he sees the inhaler as a weakness, like a metaphor for his weakness.
Yeah, for sure.
It reminds me of Cobra Kai too, right? Because
because Johnny forced Miguel to get rid of his inhaler.
Yeah. He just grabs it.
And he throws it against the wall and breaks it. Yeah. Just don't. Speaking of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny Lawrence is the epitome of toxic masculinity.
Epitome.
Or epitome.
Yes.
Why did I say that? So yeah, epitome. I should have said that.
Yeah. And he's like, you and your generation and your inhalers and peanut allergies. And Miguel's like, those are literal, real things. And he's like, I don't care. He just throws his shit.
Well, some can.
Yeah.
But they're not critical.
Yeah. So at the dinner table on this Christmas day, the nerdy older brother announces that he and his girlfriend are getting married, and so everyone's happy except the oldest brother Raymond.
So which one is getting married? Christian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Christian's getting married, and Raymond just randomly calls them the F word.
Okay.
And then he tells his girlfriend to shut up and she looks stupid because she was all happy. She's like, "Oh, you guys are getting married," and he's like, "Shut up! You look stupid." That's what Raymond tells his girlfriend.
Horrible. He doesn't deserve the things.
Yeah, and then Zach tells him his asshole must be loose because of his stint in prison. So I guess he did prison time, I guess, because of drugs, because of violence, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, yeah, oh yeah. He says his brother did a year in prison for beating up some junkie who stole his coke. So Zach says that, and Raymond's kind of laughs it off. But then Zach throws a punch at his older brother's face, and Raymond is
Enraged.
and he wants to fight him, but the other brothers are holding him back, and Zach is just smoking and smiling. His girlfriend is too. She's like they're all like laughing at Raymond now. And yeah, but like how he's like trying to punch him, but they're holding him back, but it's in slow motion. It's like operatic. It's pretty cool. So cut to him. He's being intimate with his girlfriend, the redhead girl, and he was so happy to see his brother pissed off. Like it excited him sexually, I guess. So he lies in bed with his girlfriend, and there's this Johnny Rotten poster on the wall, and he wakes up and takes his inhaler from the drawer and he pumps it. So he still has an inhaler.
Yeah, well, I guess he just doesn't want to show that he still uses it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so his mom calls him and says, oh, like, someone's bleeding, and he tells her, stop calling me. He just tells her to stop. He doesn't want to help anyone. He doesn't want to save anybody anymore. And he says on the voiceover that if he really had a gift, he would have cured himself. If he really had a gift, that's what he would have done. And then his oldest brother Raymond comes in, and his dad tells him, "Oh, be nice to your brother because he needs help and he's trying to get better." So
yeah, but since when did he ever care for him, though?
Yeah, exactly. So they're kind of like soft in that scene, and then Zach is walking and his brother drives by and he says, "Oh, you want to ride?" And he's like, "Okay." So they go off, and Zach tells him he's doing music now, and Raymond's like, "Oh, is it disco?" And he's like, "No, it's like a random. I just go whatever sound I like." And he says, "Okay, I'll check you out sometimes." He's like, "I'll make an exception because I don't drink anymore, so I don't go to bars." And he's like, "Really?" Like, yeah. He's like surprised that he's not drinking. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, no more drinking, no more drugs. I don't even cuss anymore." And he's like, "Wow." And then Raymond asks if he can borrow money, but then Zach says no. But then Raymond gets kind of pissed off, and he's like, "No, man, I'll just." He's like, I don't think you'll pay me back." And Raymond's like, "Oh, come on, I'll give you a blowjob in the back seat for some money." But he's like, "No," and then he just drives off all pissed off. Zach says, "Just kill yourself." Just tell him.
That's harsh. I understand that he doesn't get along with him, but just no. That's something too harsh to tell somebody. Right. Especially your own brother.
Yeah, it is pretty harsh. And we cut to it's the nerdy brother's wedding. Christian, yeah. And they're taking pictures, and Raymond is the only one there with on a date, at least at that moment. I didn't see him with any chick. And then it starts raining because they're taking pictures outside. They're like, "Oh shit!" So they have to run inside for the reception, and they're having dinner. And we see the redheaded girl. She's like checking out some other guy. So that's kind of
yeah, it seems odd.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And then Raymond, he's in the car with this Asian chick, and they're doing drugs of some sort.
So what happened with him not doing drugs anymore?
Yeah, I guess he relapsed, right?
Or he just never
was
did.
lying the whole
Yeah,
time, right?
or he just never really quit them.
I mean, and this wouldn't have been that long after, because
No, of course not.
yeah, because the wedding, and they announced the wedding.
Not that long before.
Right. Yeah. And then we see Zach. He's smoking in the car with that guy that his girlfriend was checking out, actually. So yeah. And then that guy asks Zach. He's like, "Oh, you want a shotgun?" So that's what it's called when they exchange smoke. Like,
so that is what it's called.
He's like, "You want a shotgun?" And he's like, "Okay." So they do that, and we see this guy from the party. He walks by, and I think it's one of his dad's friends. He walks by and he sees in the car, but it just looks like they're kissing.
Yeah, so he assumes that they are kissing.
Yeah, like he doesn't see that they're doing this smoke exchange shit. So he looks over and he's like, "What the fuck?" And it looks like they're kissing. So it's like this American Beauty trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Is in American Beauty, which I love that movie. I think it's a great film. There's the thing where Wes Bentley's character sells weed to Kevin Spacey's character, and they're next door neighbors. And the dad thinks that his son is gay. He's like speculating that he's gay. So it goes back to this, this toxic masculinity. He's speculating that his son is gay or something because he's hanging out with the neighbor a lot, the old neighbor guy. So then he looks through the window, and it's a rainy night as well. It's raining, similar to this. It's raining. He looks through the window and he sees him in Kevin Spacey's house. He sees his son, Wes Bentley, in Kevin Spacey's house. Then Kevin Spacey is laying back. I think he just worked out and he's like relaxing, like leaning back.
Yeah.
Right, and then Wes Bentley is hunched over and he's really making a joint for him. He's like rolling up a joint, so he's like kind of crouched over. But when the dad sees it, it looks like he's like giving him oral.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because he's covering his crotch area with his head, right?
Yeah, and that's not the only other movie where they assimilate that, or where they're doing something else, and then the other person from a different perspective assumes that it's some sort of inappropriate act.
What movie? What other movie are you talking about?
It's a stupid movie. It's old school. Where it looks, yeah,
that was a
scene
little
where
less innocent though.
No, that was for. Yeah, that was
because he was
way
trying
more.
to teach them how to do it.
But it's not like she was actually doing it to him.
Yeah, exactly.
In the background, you hear that
Right.
they're playing "Hungry Like the Wolf" by Duran Duran,
Yeah.
and Andy Dick is teaching them how to give fellatio with a carrot, and of course, so is it Perry Reeves who was doing that, because Perry Reeves plays Will Ferrell's wife in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And as she was assimilating that with the carrot, then Will Ferrell comes back home to see that, and he thinks that his wife is giving Andy Dick's character head. Yes.
Andy Dick's character. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I didn't see that. So, I mean, yeah, I guess old school was influenced by American Beauty, too, in that sense.
Yeah, but it's always stupid.
Yeah. I think it's funny. I think it's pretty dope. Yeah. So, yeah, the dad's friend sees this, and so cut back to the party, and they're dancing to... Yeah, so they're... And a lot of people are on the floor, but then all of a sudden the DJ starts playing The Cure. 10:15 on Saturday night, and then all these people leave the floor. They're like, "What the hell is this song?" So they all sit down, except for Zach and his girlfriend. They're the only ones into it because they like that type of music.
No, I think it's a really good song.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say it's a wedding reception song though.
No, but hey, I would really appreciate it if I were already.
So yeah, they're the only ones dancing to that. But while they're dancing, the dad's friend tells one of the dad's friends that, like I saw Zach French kissing this other guy in the car. But the dad can hear that. Zach's dad hears that. Like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, that it turns out the kid's a fairy. That's what he says.
And of course, that affects his macho ego.
Yeah. So then the dad wants to go out on the floor and kick Zach's ass. So he's walking over, but then all of a sudden the oldest brother, Raymond, gets into a fight, and that kind of derails him. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? And everyone's trying to stop that fight, and he's kind of more concerned about that. Mm-hmm. And then we see Zach and his girlfriend walk out in the rain, and the dad follows them. And he says, oh, I want to talk to him alone. So she walks away, and the dad says, oh, it's like, my friends were calling you a homo. But Zach says, oh, it's not what you think. And then he screams like, what do you want me to say? That I'm gay? Like, I did something before, but I'm not. So he tells him. Mm-hmm. But then the redhead girl hears that. Like she didn't walk away very far. She just like hid behind some car. Mm-hmm. And she like comes out, like pokes her head, and she's like pissed off to hear that. Well, okay. Yeah. So she runs away after she hears that. And then Zach runs away, and the dad is just standing there in the rain after that. And then the mom calls the cops to look for Zach because he says he's gone missing. And we see some heroin being shot up, and it's the oldest brother, Raymond, doing it.
Of course.
Right. And then we randomly see a plane flying at night, and we see some throw up going into a toilet, and it's Zach, and he's in the bathroom crying, and he uses his inhaler, and then he starts to smile. And then we cut to, so I guess, yeah, he was on his plane, and now he's in the Middle East somewhere. And his mom reads a postcard from him, and she's in shock because she drops the card, and he's in Jerusalem. Like, it's from Jerusalem, of all places.
Why did he go there? I don't get it.
I mean, maybe it has something to do with the religious aspect. I think there's like a metaphoric thing.
Yeah, but I don't. Speaking of Jerusalem, especially if it's on the occupied side, nobody should be going there. Please, I'm just saying.
Yeah, so he sightsees, he goes to the beach, and he sees some guy across the beach hugging this other guy and his friends, and we assume he's checking him out. And then later that night, Zach is outside of a club, and that guy is also outside there with his friends, and we hear this techno music. And we cut to him in the club, and that guy's in there, and they kind of check each other out, and that guy gets close to him, and then Zach looks around, and he has this hallucination that he sees his dad in the club looking at him with disdain, like in the corner.
Yeah, but he doesn't even have to worry about it at this point because he's not even around.
But I think he's just traumatized.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. You can see that he does have lingering effects.
Right. So we cut to Zach. He's outside having an asthma attack. He's breathing really heavy, and that guy who he was checking out, who's this guy? He has like long blonde hair, and he's kind of this blonde Jesus looking guy. And Zach's mom gets a call at home, and she answers the phone, but no one's on the other end. But she assumes it's Zach. And she's like, Zach, is that you? I love you and I miss you. That's what she tells him. And then Zach just hangs up the phone. I guess he didn't have the heart to actually talk to her at that point.
Well, he just didn't have the courage.
Right. And we cut to, and we see that blonde guy sleeping naked in Zach's room that he was in on the bed. And so you can assume they did something together. And it's a cool shot that we see. The camera just zooms forward into the distance, and we see this desert of the Middle East, and we see his inhaler in the sand, and it kind of reminds me of El Topo when you see the mirror in the sand.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps zooming, and then we see Zach trekking through the desert, and he just falls down, and you can tell he's dehydrated. He starts crying. He's really ashy. His lips are really chapped. He falls down, and we cut to his mom waking up in the middle of the night, and she can sense he's in trouble. So she's in the bathroom, and she turns on the sink and throws water on her face. And it's kind of like when he was in the camp when he was young.
Yeah, and he wet himself.
Right, that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so she's spraying water on her face, and then water, we see water falling on his face. And it looks like someone is throwing it on his face, and we can see we see his oldest brother Raymond with a canteen throwing water onto his face and onto his mouth, and it's kind of like, whoa. And then Zach opens his eyes, and we see it's this Arab guy pouring water on his face, and he basically helped him get hydrated again. And we cut to he's sleeping at a camp, and we see that Arab guy and his family.
Hey, we're back.
So this is the second part of C.R.A.Z.Y.
Yeah, well, we had to pick up because our laptop suddenly crashed last night.
Yeah, and so did we.
Yeah, we got tired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're continuing.
Yeah. So, and this will be the conclusion of C.R.A.Z.Y, directed by Jean-Marc Vallee. So
What's with the voice here?
that was supposed to be like a host voice, announcer voice.
That's cringy.
Okay. I'll try not to do that again.
Thank you.
So where we left off, Zach was in Jerusalem at the time. So the Arab guy takes him to some nearby town, and he drops him off, and he's looking in a little market that they have there. Just like looks like your typical Aladdin market place that you see in the beginning of Aladdin. And he sees some guy selling old records, and he just starts to look through them. You know, that's like something you or I would probably do if we saw some random market somewhere. If there's records, I always like to check them out. And he's looking through the records, and he starts to smile. because he sees that Patsy Cline Crazy record that his dad always loved growing up. So he grabs it and he laughs to himself. Cut to a plane is flying and Zach is back in Montreal. So he goes to visit his family, but the neighbors see him and it looks like they have some bad news for him. They're looking over at him kind of with their heads down. And so from that, we assume someone in his family is sick or in trouble or dead. One of those things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know the situation is pretty sensitive at this point.
Yeah. So cut to, we see his father sitting in a hospital room, and we see his mom is alive and well too. So you're kind of like, okay, they're still alive. What's going on here? And in the room, then we see his oldest brother, Raymond, lying in the hospital bed, and he looks unconscious. So Zach walks in, and his mom is shocked. She's like, what? But she's happy to see him because he just came out of nowhere. They really weren't expecting him to walk through the door there. So she hugs him and she tells him that the good Lord has brought him back to them. And his dad doesn't look that happy to see him, though. He doesn't.
Well, in general, he wouldn't be that happy with a lot of stuff he would do anyway.
Right, exactly. And his youngest brother is there too, with his long hair. And Zach holds his oldest brother Raymond's hand gently as he's lying there unconscious. So we cut, and they're in the oldest brother's room, and they're at their parents' house, and all the boys are kind of doing a sleepover, basically. For some reason, the sporty brother is shirtless. I guess he just wanted to be shirtless and show off his body or something.
Okay.
The nerdy brother and the little brother are there too, and they show him the bathroom where the youngest brother says that they found Raymond in there with a syringe in his arm. He kind of imagines that situation.
Yeah.
And they see him kind of lying there with the syringe in his arm. So, yeah, they have a sleepover, I guess, just for old time's sake. They all hang out in that room, I guess, because they're all reunited. And the sporty brother lifts his legs and farts. Like he outright lifts his leg.
You can see that he never outgrew that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. Yeah. And so Zach just throws a pillow at him and they all laugh. I guess at least it broke the ice, broke the air too. So we see those 70s hallway beads jingle while they're asleep, and Raymond walks in and kneels next to Zach, and he punches him hard in the arm, and then Zach wakes up and no one is there. So you can see that was a dream.
Yeah.
And so the father is in the living room. He's restless, and Zach comes over to sit with him, and the dad tells him, like, he'll pull through. Like, he's being confident that Raymond will pull through, but he kind of breaks down. The dad really bears his soul for the first time in this scene. We never saw any vulnerability at all from him up to this point. So this is the first time you're really seeing that. And then he admits to Zach that he wasn't a perfect father, and he says that the good Lord must be trying to tell him something with this situation with Raymond. And then the dad goes to his room and shuts the door. Then Zach pulls out the Patsy Cline record from his bag, and he's just looking at it. And then all of a sudden he sees it, and he's like, "Whoa! I never noticed that before." He sees the letters "crazy" across, and it zooms on each letter, and he kind of scoffs for some reason, but we don't know why. At that point, he just kind of like, huh. He's just like looking at it kind of weird. So we cut to, he knocks on the redhead girl's window, his old girlfriend, and she lets him in, and we hear Pink Floyd again, Great Gig in the Sky on the soundtrack, one of the instrumentals from Dark Side of the Moon. And he tells her that he's sorry, and he starts crying, and she hugs him. So they kind of make up there. I mean, you don't really get into specifics there, but we can imagine that I guess he kind of was confused about his sexuality. Okay, so the dad wakes up the next morning and he sees that Patsy Cline record there, and he's kind of like, where'd this come from? So then Zach wakes up at the redhead girl's house, and we cut back, and the dad has headphones on, and he's listening to the Patsy Cline record, and he looks so happy.
We got a guest right now, so
Tom again. Crashing.
and he'll be constantly crashing, so let's just bear with him.
He does that quite a...
Yeah, since we're not using another type of device, we're just hoping that he doesn't knock it over.
Right. Yeah. So the dad looks really happy listening to the crazy Patsy Cline record, and he just has his headphones on so he can't hear what's going on. And then the phone rings, and the mom answers it, and she starts saying, "No, no," and she starts crying. And so we can assume that Raymond passed away. But
Yes.
the dad is totally just ignorant of what's going on. He just has the headphones on, and he's just like with his eyes closed. He doesn't realize what's going on at that moment. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. And so we cut to them at the church. The priest is saying a prayer, and at that point, it's like they accepted his death. At that point, they seem kind of more at peace with it. And the brother's old girlfriend is there crying, and the mom hugs her. And after that church scene, they're at the house, and the mom makes grilled cheese sandwiches like she used to with the iron. She's making that for them, and they start to say their goodbyes. Basically, they're just like, "Hey, we're older, we have our own lives. We can't just hang out here all day, even after our brother's funeral. We have to move on with our lives." So they're kind of saying their goodbyes, and then we finally hear that Patsy Cline record, "C.R.A.Z.Y," playing.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad it's kind of sad that the dad hugs all the boys, and then when he gets to Zach, he breaks down and cries when he gets to him. And that's another time where we see vulnerability.
But I also see partly guilt, though, not just vulnerability.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it could be vulnerability because of his guilt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a combination, really.
Yeah, and the mom sees that, and Zach starts to cry too. So they just have this emotional moment, like for the first time after this whole movie, where there was a lot of tension. And the youngest brother takes off the record, and he drops it, and it breaks into pieces too. And then Zach and the dad look over like, "What the fuck? Like, this is a real cursed record. It always fucking breaks every few years." And at that point, we hear some sad guitar music playing, and we see Raymond's tombstone, and Zach is there, and he puts some flowers on it and walks away. And then we cut to a flashback where we see Zach as a little kid when he would stick his head out the window when his dad would drive him around, and how cute he was at that point. And now we flash forward, and we see the dad is older now, and he's sitting in the passenger seat. He has gray hair. He definitely looks older, and Zach is driving him, and Zach is older. He has some gray hair on his beard and mustache, and on the sides of his hair, and he has a modern suit on, so we can see that this is sometime in the future. And the voiceover, he says at that point, he says, "I don't know if it was Raymond's passing or if time heals all wounds, but my dad became my dad again." And it took me 10 years before I introduced him to my lover. We never spoke about our differences again after that, nor Patsy Cline. And he drives off, and we see this modern scene of people in Montreal. It's kind of in the countryside, and we see kind of modern campers hanging out, and then it fades to black. And we see all the boys' names pop up on the screen. So we see Christian, Raymond, Antoine, Zach, and Yvonne. And we see a record playing, like the vinyl spinning in the background, and we see that all their first initials spell out "crazy." And so that's where the title came from of the movie as well. Yeah, and then we see a star pop up on the screen, and then we see the credits. And the first credit you see is directed by Jean-Marc Vallee. And that's it. That's pretty much the end of C.R.A.Z.Y, which I think is a great movie. It's highly underrated.
Yeah, I do think so too. I do think it is underrated. But at the time, I remember that I just happened to start watching it on TV. I had never heard of the movie before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we saw it on IFC channel. That's where I first saw it.
I think that's where I also saw it.
And yeah, it just hooked me in when I first saw it. And then this got, it is an underrated film, but it did get him noticed in Hollywood. Like people who knew what was up, producers who knew what was up, they saw this film. They're like, "Oh shit, this guy can direct. This guy has directing chops." So after that, then he did pretty much all Hollywood movies after that. He did The Young Victoria a few years later with Emily Blunt. 2013, he did Dallas Buyers Club, which a lot of people feel like is his best film. 2014, he did Wild.
Yeah, well, Dallas Buyers Club, I've seen that it still gets a lot of on random movie Instagram accounts.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then he did Wild with Reese Witherspoon. And I guess he developed a relationship with her because he ended up directing the show Big Little Lies, which she was in and she produced.
Mm-hmm.
He did a few shows after that. He did a movie Demolition in 2015. I'm not sure who's in that.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Wild. At the time I saw it, I didn't think it was really bad, but I didn't think it was great either.
Yeah, it was disappointing comparing it to Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was nowhere near on that same level. But it was just okay.
Yeah, I don't think it really worked out for him in the sense that I know that Wild is based on a memoir.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if he was really able to reenact that in a film version.
Yeah, I don't know if he really. I think Reese wanted him to direct it, even though he didn't feel that much of an attachment to the story. I don't think.
I think that's really why.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't really feeling it, then ultimately it's kind of like when you.
Yeah, he went through the motions.
Well, or it's like when you, or let's say your mom cooks for you. Let's say that your mom cooks for you. She really pours her heart and soul into this dish she's making for you. And I'm sure that it would be the best thing you've ever tasted. But if you're not really feeling it and you're just cooking just to make something, even though you don't really want to, I don't know if it's really going to taste that good. What do you think?
Like it won't show in the flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be possible. Yeah, like if your heart's not into something, you can tell. That's how I think. So I mean, I think that's partly it. He probably tried to do as best he could, but it just didn't come out that great.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, he passed away in 2023.
Yeah.
Actually. So yeah, I remember seeing that. I was sad to see that, but at least he made a few great films, and really my favorite is this one, Crazy.
No, I would also say the same thing. Crazy is my favorite of his.
Right. So to close out this episode of Briterion Bollection movie podcast, we have a new segment of our show called the Rotten Tomato Game, where what's the premise of this game?
So the premise of this game is that I have to look at both the critic and audience ratings, and I have to have Kevin both of them.
Yes.
I have to have Kevin guess both of them.
Right, which I think I'm pretty good at.
Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time.
I think I'm pretty good at it. So, and I'll explain my thoughts as I try to formulate my guess. So let's see. So we're doing Crazy, right?
Of course.
Okay, so what should I do first? Critics or audience? Critics?
It's up to you.
Okay, I'll do critics. I think critics really liked it, but probably not, not 100% liked it. But I'll say, well, so they did.
Yes, they did.
I'm telling you, this was fire.
Yeah, and out of 32 reviews, 100% were critics.
That's
crazy.
I mean, that's not that many reviews, but that's
No, considering that it's a pretty obscure movie, it's actually quite a number of reviews from critics.
Okay, damn. I'm telling you, this movie's fire. If you don't believe me, believe us, believe Rotten fucking Tomatoes. 100%.
You can look this up yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm assuming the audience less so, but still probably kind of high, because I feel like a more literate audience would have seen this, not just any random popcorn movie audience is going to see this movie. So it still probably did high-ish. I'll say like 84%.
Oh my god! And you had to give that number too, and no, that's not it.
Too high or too low? Okay, then I'll say 90. 90?
93.
93. Okay.
So it wasn't much lower than the critics, and this is out of more than 10,000 ratings from the audience.
That's pretty good. 10,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe this movie is coming up. It's not as obscure as it once was, but it is still not that easy to find.
No, it's not.
Maybe they might put it on Criterion someday.
I would hope. I would hope they would have done that already.
Yeah, they should have. But with credits and licensing and stuff like that, it's hard to get every movie. That's why it's a lot of slam dunk movies you think would be on Criterion. That's the only reason they're not, is because they have trouble getting the licensing for them. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, if you guys haven't seen this, watch this. This is on HBO Max right now. So keep crazy. Directed by Jean-Marc Vallee. Any other last words on this, Aileen?
Well, I just want to say it's a movie that gives me quite a few feelings, but just seeing the kind of content that it has, I just hope that parents really think and just let their kids really express themselves and not judge them, because I feel that the dad was not very tolerant, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, French toxic masculinity, right?
And that's, yeah, now that you're bringing toxic masculinity, the next movie, which will wrap up Pride Month and the first season,
Yeah,
yes, also shares a lot of similarities.
right. And you'll find out what that is soon. So crazy might not be Criterion yet, but it'll always be Briterion.
Okay.
Thank you, Aileen, for joining me on this episode.
Yes, thank you once again for having me, Kevin.
Thanks for listening out there and or watching. You can watch us by becoming a VIP Patreon member. You can watch our videos.
Yes,
Of the
do
podcast.
subscribe.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.